So today, what we're going to talk about is the silent career killer and how to annihilate the silent career killer, what it is, and what we're going to do about it. What I want to do today is I want to talk about the second thing that you can do, jumpstart your singing, so that you don't have to waste any more time and that you can ensure that you break through to the next level of your singing and the next level of your career. We got into the first thing which you can do, and that was to examine your excuses. We talked all about how excuses create inertia because they prevent you from taking inspired action. And so, we talked about examining these ideas, these stories that you're telling yourself about why you're not where you want to be. Oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have the right teacher. I don't have the right producer. I didn't go to the right conservatory. I don't live in the right city. Like all these things, guys, these are just excuses that prevent you from taking inspired action. And so understanding these stories, these excuses, the things that you're telling yourself about why you're not where you want to be, you got to examine it and you got to obliterate it. That is the number one thing to do first if you really want to light a fire under your butt to really thrive for the rest of this year in your singing and in your career. So I hope that last week prompted you to look into that stuff and to think about what excuses you do have, what stories you are holding, and really annihilate them so they can stop preventing you from getting where you want to go. So as far as I'm concerned, our mantra for this year is no more excuses. There is always a way for the committed. Guys, I want to celebrate my singer, Jess. She just finished the intensive program. Jess and I had a call before COVID, just before COVID hit. And at the time, she knew she needed to do this work. She knew she had a lot of issues with stage fright and nerves and things that were preventing her from really moving forward into the career that was on her heart when it came to songwriting and being a recording artist. But money was an issue. She wasn't sure how she was going to put together the tuition to come do the program. But she is such a shining example of resourcefulness and commitment, right? There is always a way for the committed in whatever it is that you want to do in your life. And Jess knew that she needed to come do this work. She knew that there was no way she was going to be able to break these patterns that were keeping her in stage fright and playing small and not moving forward the way she wanted, that were preventing her voice from showing up reliably and powerfully. And she knew the only way she was going to get where she wanted to go was if she breaks those patterns. And she knows that I'm an expert in helping people do that. So she got committed. And I tell you what, a year later, she called me back and she's like, I did it. I've got the tuition. Let's get going. And you guys, she just finished the program and she's singing in a way that was just not possible for her before because she was stuck in her patterns, stuck in her blocks. Okay. So when I tell you that there's always a way for a committed, there is, if you're not stuck in your excuses and your stories. So that's why you got to annihilate the stories first. Oh, I don't make enough money, so I can't hire this producer, or I can't, do this training or whatever. Oh, I live in the wrong part of the country and there's just nothing good here. Excuses, excuses, excuses. I'm not picking up what you're putting down because I've seen too many people get committed to move past it. So that said, now that you've looked at your excuses, you've looked at the stories, you've annihilated them, now let's get more empowered to really get down to it, okay? To doing the things that you've been putting off, the things that you haven't been focused on, because see, now you're going to be able to move forward in those things because you've annihilated your excuses and you realize that the time is now. When is now the time to change? Did that just mess with your brain? When is now the time to change? I'm going to let you sit with that and answer that, okay? Because in order to make the most of any kind of momentum that you're going to start to have, We got to nip in the bud any fear that might be hiding under the surface, because just like attaching to excuses, like we're talking about, unexamined fear is the silent career killer, because it too, when combined with excuses, breeds a ton of inertia. So, in order to be fearless in your pursuit of your passion and your goals as a singer and a musician, you've got to examine the fears that are there that might be stopping you and taking you sideways before anything else. You have to look at them. And it's kind of miraculous how once you shine a light on them, they just lose their power and they vanish and they just stop being a thing. You know, it's kind of like the monster under the bed when you were a kid. You know, remember, like, you'd be lying there in bed and you'd be like terrified because like you're so convinced that that little sound that you heard is this monster that's under your bed, right? And you'd worked up all this fear in your mind that it's just lying there in wait for you. And, you know, as your parents turn out the lights, you start spinning out with fear about this terrifying thing that your mind is convincing you is under the bed. And you're paralyzed. You guys, I remember this. I wouldn't move. I'd be so paralyzed because I would be convinced that if I just moved one little bit, this thing was going to come out and get me, you know? And then, of course, like, you know, your mom comes back into the room to check on you and you tell her that you're scared. And what does she do? She holds your hand while the two of you crawl out under the bed and you grab a flashlight and you shine the flashlight under the bed so that you can see the truth, that there's nothing there. But you had to shed light on it first in order to actually look. And so this is a simple example of how looking at the fear neutralizes it, okay? Now, and well, here's the other thing that I know, which is that most fears, guys, they're not real. Most fears are not real. They're just a construct of your ego mind that's run away with you. Just like the monster under the bed. It's exactly the same. And so my favorite acronym for fear, if you have not heard this, FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Most of the time, it's not real. Our mind is attaching to one little piece of evidence of something and creating this whole other story of something else out of it that's just not real. And so when you think about the things that you really fear, that you're not good enough, that you're not going to make it, that you'll never be able to make money singing, that you won't have a sustainable career, you're going to be stuck at your crappy day job for your whole life, right? It's monkey mind taking one little evidence about something, right? Like, you know, fear, like the fear of high notes, let's say, because that, you know, the time that you went to sing the high note and it cracked. And so now monkey mind, what I call monkey mind, is like ego mind, the mind that spins, not your awareness, but the spin, has taken that one evidence of that one little incident and has concocted this whole big story around it, which is now making you terrified of the high note. You know, it's one small example. So fears around our voice, around our singing, around our career, they're exactly the same. And here's the thing about fear. It causes heightened stress and effort in your body. And so if we leave these fears unexamined, the fears are going to resurface again and again and again as worry, stress, anxiety, and tension in the body. And that's the deadliest part of all of this for singers, because our body is our instrument. And so the physical reactions to fear in the body have a direct cost to our sound, because they affect us in one of two ways. And it's the same for all humans, whether you're a singer, whether you're Joe Schmo sitting at a computer, okay? When faced with fear, all humans have the same reaction in their body. We are either going to fight or we are going to flee. You know this, fight or flight, right? So if our fear reaction is to fight, then we will push our voice in areas where we don't trust our instrument or our technique, right? So if you're scared of high notes and your fear reaction is to fight, as you're approaching that high note, you're going to go into your fear reaction. You're going to push, you're going to force, you're going to make, you're going to manipulate, right? Or if your tendency is to flee, The fear is going to cause you to pull back from your technique, to stop trusting it, to run away from it. And when you approach the difficult phrase. And here's the thing. Either one of those reactions, to push, force, fight, or to flee, to back away, right? Either one of those reactions will actually create the bad sound, the bad performance, the bad outcome that you were scared of in the first place. And then it becomes a negative feedback loop because now you have evidence that you suck, that you're not good enough, which then stokes more fear of failure, more fear of losing what you have or not getting what you want, more fear of having to stay in that crappy day job or whatever it is. So then the next time you come back to that performance or that song, you're gonna push even more. You're gonna be even more in your fear reaction. You're gonna fight even more, or you're gonna run away even more, which creates even more of that bad sound, bad energy, bad performance, bad impact that you were afraid of, which now gives you more evidence that you're not good enough, which stokes the fear of failure even more, which makes you push, fight, flee even more, and you see how it goes, okay? So the same thing happens when it comes to the fears around the moves that we want to make in our career or in our training. You know, we don't like to be scared about the future. We don't like worrying because we're not happy about where our singing or our career is right now. We don't like that. We don't like that we don't get to know what's going to happen. We don't like the anxiety of the unknown that provokes, right? And it sucks to be in that frustrated state, that fearful state of like, how is this ever going to work out? You know, how am I ever going to get from where I am to where I want to go when it looks like there is a huge gap and all the fear and anxiety and frustration that provokes? So if we fight in that situation, it looks like jumping into action willy-nilly, plowing ahead with something, anything, so that we feel like we're going somewhere, even though it's not inspired action, like we were talking about in last time. So we end up burning ourselves out and wasting a ton of time and energy and money without actually seeing results. Or if we flee, what it looks like is distracting ourselves with our coping mechanisms, right? Distracting ourselves with social media or gaming or shopping, or distracting ourselves with food or sex or even drugs or alcohol or relationships, right? That's fleeing. That's just putting our head in the sand. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going over here, right? Or even turning to more destructive behavior, you know, that can take you down, like I was saying, like drugs or alcohol or the wrong relationships, like all these things. And so unexamined fear, guys, it takes you down this giant rabbit hole. And that's why I say it's the silent career killer, because it prevents you from moving forward powerfully, because it keeps you exactly where you are, because it keeps you in this loop. And so I say this not to scare you, but to inspire you to begin to shine a light on your own thinking, right? On your own thinking. Where are you right now? Understand that. Know what's preventing you from moving forward powerfully. Know what's holding you back from singing the best you ever have, and this being the year that you do it, right? This can be the year that you really bloom and shine as a singer and performer. So what are you waiting for? This is the work to do. It's not about doing more scales. It's not about writing more songs. It's not about doing more auditions, because if you just do more of those things, you're just taking more of your old bad habits and doing more with them, okay? What it's about is understanding what the patterns are, what the blocks are, getting rid of them, so that then when you do more auditions, when you write more songs, when you do more technique work, it's actually going to get the results that you want. So what are you waiting for? In my opinion, singing with impact, making an impact on that audience and having that career, it boils down to one thing. But that one thing will bring you everything. And that's your ability to be fearless. I'm going to say that again. Singing with impact and having the career you want boils down to one thing, but it's everything. And that's your ability to be fearless. So when it comes down to it, as far as I'm concerned, my 25 years of experience working with singers, being a professional singer, being fearless is probably the only thing preventing you from singing at the level that you want and having the life that you want from it. It's just fear. It affects your technique. It affects your resourcefulness to get the training that you need. It affects your motivation. It affects your ability to put yourself out there. And it affects you being able to believe in yourself to do all of those things. It affects so, so very much. I want you to take the first step. I want you to shine the light on your fears. Air them out. Metaphorically, get on your knees and look under the metaphorical bed. Shine the light on the fears, just like you used to do when your mom would come in and you check under the bed for monsters so that you can see it's not real. There's nothing there. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? First, you're going to make a list of your biggest fears with respect to your singing, with respect to your career, and go there. Really go there. What is my biggest fear if I can't make this happen? Or what is my biggest fear if this does happen? I had a singer who was terrified that if she really blew up with her singing, that she'd lose her marriage, that her husband wouldn't support her. So why would she ever, if that's the fear, do the work that she needs to do on her technique, do the hard things that she needs to do to invest in her time and her energy and her money, if the outcome of that is going to lead to her husband leaving her? She won't. She's not going to do it. That fear is killing her career. So she's got to look at it. Okay? So make a list of what are your biggest fears with respect to your singing and your career. And then I want you to share them with somebody. Share them with somebody that you trust. This is big because it's one thing to get them out on paper. It's another thing to really purge them by sharing with a trusted either family member or roommate or colleague or somebody that you have in your life that you trust. Okay? So yes, I'm asking you to get vulnerable. I'm asking you to get real, and I'm asking you to put it all out there. This is how you start to shine a light on your fears. And after you've listed them, then I want you to ask yourself about each one. Is this real? Meaning, is it happening right now in this moment? So the singer who I just mentioned, who had the fear of if she got really successful and blew up that she'd lose her marriage, is that happening in this moment? Is it real? No. 99% of the time, the answer is going to be no, that it is not happening right now in this moment. Most of the time, the fear is about something in the future related to, like we were talking about a minute ago, not getting what you want or losing what you have. Okay? So you know that high note that you're having trouble with? Trust me, it's related to one of these fears on your list. And that fear is causing a physical reaction in your body, making that note worse and making it hard for you to achieve that free high note that you want. So everything, guys, seriously, like tattoo this on your face so you see it every time you look in the mirror. Everything that you struggle with in your technique is somehow related to or exacerbated by a fear on your list. Everything. So shine a light on it. Shine a light on it. Get present to it. Bring it into your awareness. If you're terrified of being at your day job for your whole life because if they don't appreciate you, it sucks the life out of you, and it's not doing anything that you feel matters in this world at all. And what you really want to be doing is sustaining yourself through your singing, okay? So now you go into the audition and that high note is coming up. What's riding on that high note? You might say the audition. No. What's riding on that high note in your mind, if you have that fear of being stuck at that crap day job all your life and never making it life with your gifts, that's what's riding on that high note. Okay? And so what are you going to do? You don't want to fail. So you're going to go into your fear reaction. You're either going to flee or you're going to fight. And that note's going to be even worse. So everything in your technique and in your career journey is related to and exacerbated by one of those fears on that list. Even that little high note, even the issues that you're struggling with in your breath, even when it comes, to what city you live in. I mean, whatever your fears are, look at them, shine a light on them, get present to it, bring it into your awareness. This is the first step to shifting the fear. And guys, I do this with every single one of the students who come do my intensive. It's a huge part of the program. And once they've shed the light on the fears and they understand what the big ones are for them, then I teach them how to be present in the midst of that fear and how to release their learned fears little by little and how to trust their practice and their instruments and their technique so that can free them more and more over time. Because by releasing the past and focusing on the present moment, then we learn to trust that we are held by ourselves, by our new techniques, and we can begin to create the sound that our body is naturally, fearlessly inclined towards producing. You know, I can give you guys the best technique in the world, but it's not going to matter if you still have all this stuff that's sabotaging you from doing it. So that's why we do this deep work in the program. And that's why the singers who do this work are massively transformed in their singing and in their career. Now, look, being able to trust that you're held by yourselves and trust the technique, being able to create the sounds fearlessly, right? That obviously takes deeper, more involved guided work over time. It's not something you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden say, okay, I'm just not going to be scared anymore, right? And so that's exactly why singers come to do the intensive, because they want that deeper work. They want the guidance and the support to do it. They want me to mirror back to them right there in the moment of singing what fear is showing up and why in that moment. What is behind the difficulty of that phrase or that note or that, you know, that song? Because it's so hard, guys, to see your own patterns. We're just too close to it, you know, especially in the moment of singing. And so that's why the intensive is so transformative. You know, the value of having that expert guide is essential for many people. You know, it makes the process of discovery much more efficient so that it does not take years and years and years to discover and to get this transformation, okay? But for now, take the first step and start by making the list of your fears. Shine the light on them. Share them with a trusted fellow. That's a safe space where you can get real. And I guarantee you that you'll see that you're probably not the only one with these fears. And then go down the list and ask yourself, is this real? Really? Is it really real? Is this fear? Is this happening right now in this moment? Or am I just future tripping about something that I'm scared of happening in the future? And if you look at this list and you're thinking, great, whew, long list. How do I get rid of all of this? If you'd like support and expert guidance to show you how all of this is showing up in your singing, and if you'd like a proven step-by-step strategy to undo all of this, then book a call with me. I know all of you are super invested in getting where you want to go with your singing. If you know you're looking for that edge, you're looking for the new techniques, for better techniques. You've studied with a lot of teachers, you've done a lot of training programs, you practice, but within all of that, your ability to succeed with your technique and your performances really boils down to one very simple thing that I guarantee you very few of you have actually done with respect to your singing, and that's undoing the fear. It's the fear that creates limiting beliefs. It's the fear that creates the excuses. It's the fear that creates the inertia that's preventing you from singing the way you know you can all the time. It's the fear that prevents you from doing the things that you need to do to get where you want to go in the career. So when you address the fear in your training, that becomes an integral part of what you are training, then everything changes, guys. Everything. And traditional voice lessons do not do this. Believe me, I know. I was a function of that training. I came up under that old traditional system for 20-something years. I know what traditional training is good for, and it ain't this. Okay? It doesn't matter how expert and prestigious your teacher is. It doesn't matter how well regarded the conservatory or the institution or the workshop is. They do not teach this. And that's why so many of you have had a really hard time, and you've had many, many, many years of training, and you're still feeling frustrated, and you're not at the level that you want to be at with your singing and with your career. So if you're ready to do something that's 10 times more effective, go ahead and book a call with me. Here's the link to book a call. go.onetab.com/Arden_schedule_call. It's very simple. Just understand that what you've been doing thus far is not working because there are things that you just don't know that you don't know. And it's not your fault because the way you've been trained does not address it. So if you're looking for more support, if you're ready to do something that's 100 times more effective, don't be shy, book a call. That's what I'm here for. I want you guys, and the call is free. I want you guys to understand that there's a different way to do this. And we're going to talk about what's working and what's not working in your singing, what's working, what's not working in your career journey. We're going to get clarity on what you really want, where you want to go, and what's been preventing you from getting there. And if I think I can help you, I will 100% let you know. If not, I will direct you to somebody else who can help you. Don't waste any more time doing stuff that doesn't work for you, that's not getting you where you want to go. Seriously, like if you're committed to getting results, then don't put it off. And if you realize that you want an expert guide and the kind of training that addresses that fear, then don't think twice. Don't be shy. Go ahead and book a call with me, and let's get you moving into a strategy and the support that really works. All right, guys. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.